These are the new metal releases for July 5th, 2024. Have a lot of different genres to cover. We got some black metal, traditional heavy metal, hard rock, power metal, symphonic metal, and one new band that I discovered, and they reminded me a lot of classic Opeth. So let's get into this. The first band I have is Kryptos, and the album is called Decimator. They're a heavy metal and thrash metal band from India. They're also the first Indian metal band to play a Wacken open air. They've been active since 1998, and this is their 7th album. It's a short album. There are 9 songs with 31-minute runtime. I felt on this album they were going for a classic heavy metal sound, like some pre-Bruce Dickinson Iron Maiden. There are lots of heavy guitars, fast rhythms, in addition to some of those raspy vocals. They also have some melody in the songs, and the bass guitar also plays a role in the music. There's some guitar shredding on the album as well. There's some good songs. Fall Into the Spectre's Gaze has a lot of melodic guitar riffs and powerful vocals. The song named Turn Up the Heat has a very 80s sound, even though the song title was very 80s as well. And this one reminded me of some of that early glam metal like Wasp or Dokken. Then there was the song Electrify. It had more of a traditional heavy metal sound, maybe similar to some Judas Priest. There was an acoustic instrumental track called Solaris. Then more classic metal, like the title track, with lots of energetic, galloping guitar riffs. The next few songs also had a classic metal sound. And the closing track, We Are the Night, was a slower track, not necessarily a power ballad, but more of a melodic hard rock or metal song. Overall, it's some classic heavy metal with a little bit of an edge to their sound, I would say. If you like those things, you like the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands, bands like Haunt, Riot City, those types of bands, you can get into this. My score is a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty good album, and I will probably be revisiting it. Next, I have a band called Kissin Dynamite, and they are a hard rock band from Germany. The name of the album is Back With a Bang. This band has been active since 2007. It's their 8th album. They named their band after an AC/DC song from the Blow Up Your Video album. To me, this sounds like a melodic arena rock band with big vocals and lots of catchy choruses and hooks. To me, they sound like some early Bon Jovi or even some of those Swedish melodic rock bands like Akhlys. The album has 12 songs. It's 46 minutes long. The album opens with the title track. This is a hard rocker with some flashy guitar playing and big vocals. After that is a song called My Monster that had more of a Bon Jovi-esque type of sound, some melodic keyboards and catchy chorus, and has some of those talk box effects in the background. Then you have this big fist-pumping anthem called Raise Your Glass. It's about the rock and roll lifestyle and memories of being on the road. Then there's Queen of the Night with the big keyboard sound, kind of reminded me of the band Journey, something along the lines of Separate Ways. And then there's a blues rock track called The Devil Is a Woman that was a harder rocker that had more of an 80s glam metal sound. Then a softer rocker called The Best Is Yet to Come. It was not too bad. It had a very melodic and sound, and it was followed by the song I Do It My Way, which was a power ballad. And they used some more of that talk box on the next song, More Is More. Then there were a few more rockers, such as a song When the Lights Go Out, which had like a southern rock sound, and the album closer called Not a Wise Man, which was a soft acoustic ballad. I thought it was a good album. It's the Bon Jovi album that a lot of people wanted last month when the real Bon Jovi released an album. My score is an 8 out of 10. I think if you like this type of music, you can get into this band. The next album that I have is Pirates to Armada by Visions of Atlantis. It's a sequel to Pirates, which came out in 2022. I remember this one very well. I reviewed it on my channel. They are a symphonic metal band, I guess similar to other bands such as Nightwish or Therion. I think they're a little more family-friendly. It seems more along the lines of power metal and symphonic metal. Like, they don't really get really heavy. I said in my last review, it's the type of music you can play during a children's birthday party and nobody would be offended by it. The opening track is To Those Who Choose a Fight, and it's A very soft song that takes a while to pick up, but it continues with a story. After that's the next song, The Land of the Free, and this one has a bigger sound with orchestral sounds and symphonics and more of an epic nature. Next song is Monsters. I thought this one was one of the best songs on the album. It was very catchy, had a little bit of a darker tone, but still upbeat at the same time. Then after that, it gets a little different with Tonight I'm Alive. It sounds like medieval folk music, and that's what I got from it. This one also has both the male and female vocals, like pretty much most of the songs on the album. The song after this is called Armada. I like this one because it has a heavy metal and power metal style. The guitar riff in the intro was cool. As for the rest of the album, there were a few longer songs that had about like 7 minutes long, like the last couple of songs. And there's some softer ballads, for example, the song Ashes to the Sea. And another song that stood out was called Hellfire, and that one had a very big and epic symphonic sound. Towards the end of the album, they have another song called Magic of the Night, which sounded more like that medieval folk music again. Overall, it's not too bad. It took me a few listens to get into this. On the first listen, I wasn't really impressed, but it's been growing on me for now. My score is a 7.5 out of 10. It's early in the month, so it could go up by the end of the month. But if you like the first one, I think you would like this one. Next, I have a black metal band from Colorado called Akhlys. The name of the album is House of the Black Geminus. This band has been active since 2009. They have 4 albums. I think what makes this band stand out is that they have this dark ambient component to their sound, so it makes the music sound very scary. I guess that's the best word I can use. The album has 6 songs. It's 53 minutes long. Most of the songs are between 8 and 12 minutes, more or less. The album starts with a 12-minute song called The Mask of Night Speaking. And the song starts off like a score from a horror movie with these very big and dark synths. After that, you start to hear some typical black metal elements with a rapid-fire drum beat. Goes on for the first 4 minutes of the song, and then you hear the typical black metal music with the blast beats, the heavy vocals, the tremolo-picked guitar riffs, and the song goes back and forth between the evil-sounding black metal and the dark and haunting scary horror movie synth. Then the next song, Maze of Fobator, starts off with these rapid-fire drum beats and guitar riffs. The song had more of a typical black metal sound with guitars that sounded like buzzsaws, then after a few minutes had more atmospheric sounds with the isolated guitars, and it just sounds very creepy and eerie. I also found it interesting that they used some different vocal styles on the song, such as the typical higher-pitched black metal vocals with some of the lower-range vocals often heard in death metal. If you like black metal, there's also straightforward black metal on this album. As for the rest of the album, it's mostly black metal, but they have some ambient sections on the album and uses a bit more of that horror synth to a few of the songs. But the majority of the album is black metal. I keep repeating that word, but I thought it was pretty good. I hear a lot of black metal fans giving this album a lot of praise. If you're a fan of this genre, you could probably appreciate it more than the typical metal listener, but I enjoyed it. I think for me, my score is an 8 out of 10. If you are a fan of this type of music, I can see people scoring it a 9 or higher, but I guess it's one of those like subjective albums. It depends on your preference, but it is, in my opinion, one of the better ones from the genre. Next, I have a power metal band called Orden, Ogan. The name of the album is The Order of Fear. This band has been around for a while. It's their 9th album. They've been active since 1996. The album has 11 songs. It's 48 minutes long. The album starts with Kings of the Underworld, and then the song just takes off. There's no long intro or anything. It's vocals, guitars, drums. They just come right out the gate. After this, the title track called The Order of Fear. I thought this one was more melodic and a little bit more accessible. Had a catchy chorus. Then track 3 was called Moonfire. I like this one because it had some technical guitar riffs and a darker sound, but it was still very melodic with a catchy chorus. Then there was a song called Conquest. It was a melodic rocker. I thought it had a happier tone, and there were some cool guitar riffs. There are a few more songs on the album. Prince of Sorrow was one of the highlights because I like the main guitar riff and that one. The song Dreadlord was a good one because it had a heavier and a darker tone. Then there was a power ballad called My Worst Enemy, which was very memorable. I thought it was maybe the catchiest song on the album. And towards the end of the album, there were a few longer songs that had a bigger and more epic sound. Overall, it's a good power metal album, as everything you would expect. You got the happy songs, the darker songs, and the ballads. My score is 7.5 out of 10. If you're a fan of this band, I think you would enjoy this. I have one more album to talk about. It's from the band Piah. The album is called Under the Shadow of a Foreign Sun. They are a Brazilian progressive death metal band. They've been active since 2010. This is their third album, and the band consists of 2 members. The band reminds me a lot of mid-2000s Opeth. They are progressive death metal with both the clean singing and the death growls. They're not a carbon copy of Opeth, though. They have other elements to the sound. There's some saxophone and some folky stuff and some other stuff. So the opening track is called As Islands Sink. This one has complex guitar riffs and some heavy and light sections. The next song is called Fallow Garden, and it's an 11-minute song that has a lot going on in its runtime. It starts with acoustic guitars, then goes into that progressive death metal with the death growls. Then there's some clean vocals in the second half of the song. And then towards the end, the song slows down and they have the saxophone playing. I thought that section in the song was very jazzy. And then there was a shorter song after that called Macaw's Lament. It was a soft acoustic instrumental. Then after that were 3 more songs. They were all solid. But overall, it's an awesome album. My favorite album of the week. I think the classic Opeth influence won me over with this band. Also because Opeth hasn't released an album in, I think, 5 or 6 years. And they changed their sound maybe like 15 years ago. So it fills a void for me. I give this a 9 out of 10. I think you should give it a chance. And that is all. Check out last week's episode of new metal releases from last weekend. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. Please hit the bell for notifications so you can get updated every time I upload a video. I have videos on TikTok as well as Facebook. I do some other stuff. And there you can find me in the video description, in the links, and I'll see you in the next one.